personal productivity enthusiasts and community. Welcome to Anything But Idle, the Productivity News Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by Co-working Space by Personal Productivity Club. I'm Ray Sidney-Smith,
And I'm Augusto Pinaud.
and we're your hosts for Anything But Idle. This is episode 118, Apple's announcements from WWDC 2023, and we're recording this on June 12th, 2023. Each week, Augusto and I cover the productivity news headlines of the week so you know what's going on in the world of productivity and its related technologies. Augusto, let's get into the headlines. What is our first
Well, the
productivity headline of the week?
first headline of the week is from Chris Gillibu, and it is: if you're not getting better, you're not getting worse. And
You
it's
are
been
getting
always said, sorry,
worse. It says you're not getting better, you're getting worse.
you're getting worse. And that's in a certain way a reality, and it's a good thing to do a check of what you're getting better, what you're getting worse, and if it's okay that you are getting worse. And that was one of the things I love about the article is Chris saying, hey, I'm getting better at this. I'm getting better at this. I'm not getting better at this. This is how my business has changed. So I don't need to take care of that. And it was a good article to look at what are we getting better and what we are not getting better that we want or we're interested in to get better. So good. It was a very good read.
Yeah, it's one of those articles where there's a truth to it, but you don't want it to be true. You want to know that you've done something and that it's indelible, and so that skill or that particular body of knowledge is just all there. But if you're not using it, it's kind of like a language: use it or lose it. If you're not using that language, then you're ultimately going to start having those things fade away, and that just goes with skills and with all kinds of other things. And so it's just good to know that we need to use our abilities on a regular basis to keep them sharp. On to our next article.
So our next article comes from Better Humans, and there is a good way to make a to-do list, and there is a better way. And he said, not all to-do lists are created the same. And he talks about embrace from the static list, embrace, the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, make sure that you are prioritizing. He said Eisenhower to the rescue, because that's where the matrix was. um King, less is more, intuition is king. They do not do list and embrace change. And it was, again, a very nice article. I have been talking for years about the do not do list. And the first time I read it from Michael Hyatt, and I thought it was brilliant. And I have a list and I review it often, normally in my weekly review, and pay attention. I have done any of this, and sometimes the answer is yes, and it means I need to pay more attention. But also flexibility. When I work with clients, they come with a 77 items list. Okay, well, we are going to fail before the end of the day. So how about you work in a different way? You work in a two or three. Hey, if you get a three items list and you need to do and repeat the process of analyzing three times a day, guess what? You are going to feel successful three times a day. But if you get a 70 items list and you accomplish the same nine items, it's going to feel like a failure. So the other thing is that I was not on the article, but it's something that I recommend is differentiate and be very clear what are the must and what are the nice to have, because it is a difference. Okay, this need to happen and it's a real need to happen. That is very different than it would be very nice if I get this to happen. And we tend to not establish that distinction that get us in trouble.
Absolutely. On to our next article.
So our next article come from Psychology Today is how to address productivity paranoia. um, Measuring productivity helps managers identify struggling employees, remote work, the challenges that has bring, and the paranoia of this productivity that persists between the leaders and employees and the face-to-face interaction and all that. And I was laughing about this. It's a client, we were in a meeting, and On the meeting, it was said this will take 2 weeks. Okay. And at the end of the meeting, an email came from one of the persons who was on the meeting and said, so can we have it at the end of the week? No, it will take 2 weeks. Okay. And but that is typical on many corporate environments, where people is on the meeting, even agreeing verbally on the meeting, and then at the end, was, well, let's make it more productive. Let's, well, miracles take a little bit longer normally, that urgent things. So, and we have been trying to measure, in the last 3 years, how we are more productive, more productive, more productive. And I have never thought about the idea of call it the productivity paranoia, but it is in a certain way. And what do you want to be productive for? Or you just want to check more boxes, or how we are going to measure that actually?
I know this is harsh to say, but productivity paranoia to me just sounds like poor management. And so the idea of us labeling something as paranoia is again pathologizing something that I don't need that doesn't need to be pathologized, right? Like paranoia being a symptom of some kind of mental disorder is I don't know. It just doesn't rub me the right way. So what I feel like is that yes, leaders do have anxiety about their employees and their staff being productive when they cannot see them. That is not the right metric, and so they should look for the real data that shows that your employees and your staff are doing the right things. So the goal here is to look at the right data to get the right result, and therefore train yourself out of poor management, right? And this is again, it's like, as you said, are we checking boxes or are we looking for results? Are we looking for impact? And if we can continue to keep looking at the impact of our individual employees and as a team as a whole, we'll also always know that we can rank order people as being most productive to least productive. And there's always going to be a least productive person on the team, no matter how productive your team is. So that relativistic perspective doesn't really help us understand the deficits of the team and being able to understand how to shore up those
Mhm.
pieces. Now, this particular article seems to be pushing for the idea that people should be hybrid workers and that they should give some level of in-person and remote work in some measure. I don't necessarily know that that's true or works for every environment. It doesn't work in my company at all. We are distributed 100%. Heck, WordPress runs on top of is
Right.
run by a company called Automatic. They are 100% distributed team, and WordPress runs, what, 60% of the world's websites. So the CMS itself is being developed in this distributed way with this distributed team, and they're doing all the things right in that way to manage a company of that size. So I don't buy it that we need to have a hybrid work environment for every company. That being the case, I think this is an argument for us recognizing that if we are having any level of anxiety or fear related to our employees or our staff being productive, it's a conversation that we need to have with them and determine what may be happening in their world, right? Like this is like, you know, compassion 101. If the COVID-19 pandemic should have taught us anything, it is to have a level of grace and compassion with regard to our people. And when we do that, it's not that we can't be tough, but we have to be tough on the problems, not on the people. Right? This comes from kind of the Harvard negotiation project and conflict resolution and otherwise. But this really works in this environment because it's just good management. If we can go ahead and we can say, okay, this is why this person's not being productive. We can focus on solving that problem. I really feel that leaders are and managers are charged with making sure that we can get rid of the obstacles in the way of our people getting and being productive. So if we can do that, then we don't have to be tough on them. We can be tough on the problem, and we can solve a lot more problems than blaming remote work or blaming a lack of face-to-face interactions or pathologizing anxiety and fear because of poor management skills in a new era. Right, this is new for us, many of us. Right, managing in a modern remote environment is new for many supervisors and many managers and leaders. That's okay, but we need to learn how to manage in that new paradigm. And we're seeing a lot of mixing, right? Some companies are going fully back to in person, some are in hybrid, some are staying remote, some are aggressively staying remote. That's all good, right? We'll see how those companies fare in the long run,
Mhm.
but we should understand that good management is just being dynamic in the face of these particular changing landscapes. All right, on to our next article.
Our next article is from Life Hacker, and it says start each week with this digital decluttering method. And say, well, physical clutter is bad. You should do the digital. And say, go and declutter. Spend 15 minutes and clear, your desktop, your computers, your devices, and all that. And I agree on the practice, and I even recommend people look at the different devices and do something different every week. So I have been saying for years, a Friday, the second Friday of the month, the third Friday of the month. It depends on everybody's work dynamic, but one of those normally work well. And then take a couple of hours that Friday afternoon and flip your to-do list, and do the lowest priority of that. And you are going to end up that Friday feeling king of the world, because those things obviously are at the bottom of the list because they have zero importance. But on your mind, there is no difference between that and the really important ones. Same thing with your RSS feed. Pick a day. Can be the Sunday. That's my day. Sunday morning, I go and clean or try to clean the RSS, depending on the week, that possible or not possible. And other weeks, I clean then the desktops and the files and the downloads. So don't need to be everything every week. Don't make it heavy, but it helps to create a certain routine where you go and clean all your digital holes. Once every quarter, I go and I have a folder of ebooks and PDF and stuff, and I go and reorganize it and put it in the way I like it. Because a lot of times I get the PDF, you know, put it on the Kindle, put it on the iPad, and then dump the original file in there, but they didn't put it in the name the way I like, the way I will find it later. That is the author and the title. So once a quarter, I go and do that work of fix those files so everything is organized in the way I like it.
Yeah, I think that this is a good practice. I would obviously do this very differently myself, and I do because I do this all during my weekly review. So I have a way in which I am going through all of the various pieces of my world and organizing those things. Like throughout the week, I take a bunch of screenshots and I send them to either Evernote to my inbox for processing into my task management system. I capture screenshots and share them with colleagues and otherwise. So I'm doing a lot of that stuff. Links, I'm sharing with people. And at the end of the week, I actually review all of those because I don't need them cluttering my Google Photos. So I have to get rid of them because they all get backed up, and I do want them backed up in my system just in case I want them. But that's my opportunity to be able to kind of go through, and if for some reason I missed something, it's kind of a second pass at those items. So it's not an inbox for me identified, but it is a way for me to shore up the rear guard and making sure that I haven't lost something. In this particular decluttering perspective, digital decluttering perspective, it's a part of my mise en place. Back to the book Work Clean by Dan Charnas. I really believe in the concept of having yourself set up like a chef does, in their kitchen, having all of the pieces cleaned and prepared and all of your ingredients ready to go. And this is what gives you that capability of doing that. And I confess, I once had that problem with the many tabs open problem, and now I have a system whereby I'm capturing all of those tabs and placing them into my inbox. So at the end of the
Mhm.
week, I do accumulate. It's like barnacles on a ship. I just accumulate all of these tabs throughout the week, and so now I have them in my inbox, and I can go ahead and process them clean so that I can have that level of management. And you would be surprised the number of people who complain about their browser being slow. And then I do a screen share and I see that they have dozens and dozens of Chrome tabs open, again, as I do, but I have a fairly robust machine in front of me that can have that many tabs open. And I use a tab extension that goes ahead and shuts the tabs down behind the scenes. And actually, if you're using any Chromium based browser, which includes Chrome, Microsoft what's Microsoft's Edge,
Mhm.
Brave, Vivaldi, you name it. All of those various Chromium-based browsers actually can are now doing that in the background. They're kind of shutting down the tabs when they're not in use, so it saves some resources there. But my point is that I see lots of people with lots and lots of tabs open and a bunch of detritus on their desktops and downloads folders that are just voluminous, right? They're just filling and filling and filling. And I made sure that I added that into my weekly checklist for my weekly review, and now I'm reviewing those items at the end of the week so that those downloaded items are going where they belong. They don't belong in my downloads folder. They belong deleted, or they belong somewhere else where I can
Right.
access and review them later. And so that's a really, really good point. I also like to check my sent folder in my email. That's kind of tangential, but just remembering to look in these various places where we can kind of look and see, hey, did I miss something? Did I send an email and someone didn't respond to me? This is a good time to follow up with them and get things going. One little trick there is if I sent an email and I'm checking on Friday, I will reschedule that email. I'll hit forward on it and schedule it out for Monday morning. So I'm not sending it on a Friday afternoon to somebody who's going to obviously be getting ready for the weekend. I'm going to send it to them fresh at the top of their week so they can go ahead and tackle that at 8 9 a.m. whenever they get into the office on Monday morning. So keep that in mind, that you want to play to the strengths of the people in which you want responses from, and doing this kind of digital decluttering can also set you up for a more productive next week. So great article in that perspective. On to our next article, Augusto.
So this is what we have for articles. So we are now going to the break and a word from our sponsors that this week is Personal Productivity Club.
All right, cool. So virtual co-working.
While working in person may be normal for you, it's unlikely your coworkers are as interested in being productive as you are. Or working remotely or from home can be isolating. And there's something powerful about being with productive people, even virtually, that helps you be more engaged. If a flavor of these sounds familiar, Co-working Space by Personal Productivity Club is for you. Co-working Space is a virtual work community designed to help members be more effective and efficient in their work and personal lives. At its core, we provide goal tracking and host focused action sessions throughout the week for accountability and camaraderie. Visit anythingbutidle.com/coworking to learn more. Co-working Space lives inside Personal Productivity Club, a digital community for personal productivity enthusiasts, so you can find people who use methods and tools you do too. Again, head over to anythingbutidle.com/coworking to see how Co-working Space can help you be more productive. And now, back to our show.
Welcome back, everybody, to Anything But Idle. We are going to head into our technology headlines for this week. Augusto, what is our first headline this week?
Our first one is Google can search for books in your local library. And the article quotes Chloe Ivy Rose, who shows how she was looking for a book called Alecto the Ninth. And then, all the information, what she found, release date, everything, including the option to see if it's a stock on libraries. At the bottom, you can put your zip code if you're in the United States and check if the libraries are going to have. And that's very cool. One of the things I love about the libraries here, and we have discussed it here in the show. I have only one, but I know you have multiple libraries on different places and rent the book that way.
Yeah, so your mileage may vary on this one. So not everyone is going to see this functionality. So just be mindful of the fact that you're not going to see it on the desktop. You're only probably going to see this on mobile for most of you. Some of you might see it on desktop, and that's just an experiment. Google is constantly experimenting with these things. So just be mindful that it's available in some places, it's not available in others. Some people claim that it's always been there. Some people claim that it's never been there. So just be mindful of the fact that this is kind of hit or miss for you all. But on mobile, I believe you should be able to access this feature by looking in the Google Play Bookstore. When you're in the Google Play bookstore, you should be able to search for a book and then see that ability to type in your zip code and do that. Now, if you do not and cannot find it for some reason, all you need to do is just go to WorldCat. So if you go to worldcat.org, that is the worldwide library catalog, and then you just basically type in your zip code and you can search any book anywhere anytime. Now, if you want to get really sophisticated, you can use the library extension. The library extension is called, fun enough, uh, library extension. Just find it in the the web store for the web extensions store for your particular browser. But library extension is amazing. It connects you both to your local library catalog and it searches it right there in the page. So, like if you're on Goodreads, if you're on Amazon, if you're on any of the various book sites, it will go ahead and search those sites, and then it will go ahead and automatically search your suggested library. So I have 5 or 6 different libraries that I have library cards from, and so it will search all of those, including like a Hoopla and your ebook library and audiobook libraries portions. So it goes ahead and searches all of those. So library extension is just like a must have for me in any browser as soon as I install it. So just good to keep in mind as you are kind of making your way through the libraries in your, maybe if you're moved or whatever, you can quickly and easily get access to them through the library extension. All right, on to more Google News.
Oh, the next one is Google Workspace gains passkey support, and I'm going to let you go into the whole explanation of that one.
Yeah, so a few weeks ago we talked about the fact that
Mhm.
Google had finally allowed passkey support, meaning that it's using your account embedded on any device that allows for passkey. Passkeys is just basically a device-based login, so you just authenticate on the device, and you'll then be logged into your Google account wherever that might be. So, say my phone acts as a passkey, and so when I go to log into my Google account, it'll literally just prompt me to do something on my phone. And by virtue of doing that thing on my phone, it authenticates that it's me trying to log in because I physically have my phone in my hand. It knows it's me and not some hacker or some criminal, and it'll let me in. That was not available within Google Workspace. So only consumer Google users had access to passkeys until this most recent week, and Google Workspace now. So if you have Google Workspace for business, if you have Google Workspace for enterprise, for education, passkey support is now available there, and you can go ahead and turn that on by going to myaccount.google.com and going under that privacy and security section and turning on passkeys. Onward, Augusto.
On our next one, Remarkable, the e-reader tablet, revised the PDF experience and the robust highlighting system. And this is very cool. They do effortless syncing. They're setting a new view on the PDF, keyboard navigations, more precise searching, and even a smart highlighting. And it is very cool because with the new announcements that the iPad did, or the iOS 17, when it comes out at the end of November, October, November, when it come out, it's Apple's making a big effort into making your PDF experience much better. So it's very good to see that companies like Remarkable are also stepping up into the experience for PDFs.
Fantastic. And so that was my ring light that just broke. So if I go off camera again, Augusto, it's because my ring light fell again. So just we're gonna keep on going. The show must go on.
The show
Onward,
must go on.
onward from the remarkable story onto alternatives for the Magic Keyboard and Apple Pencil.
Last week, I talked about a cheaper version of the Apple Pencil, and then I found this article on what 9 to 5 called Budget iPad Accessories and Alternatives. So I wanted to share this for people who wants the accessories, but want, a different version, a more affordable version than what Apple sells. So that's what this basically article is proposed. Our next article after that is Apple. We will discuss more about the Vision Pro and what the Apple announced, but they announced that they bought the same AR company that is behind the Mario Kart ride. There's a Los Angeles startup called Myra that also do contracts with the military, and they really have been working into this AR world. So seems like Apple it's going all in into this, and we will discuss way more when we get to the feature story of the week. And
Fantastic.
for the users of WhatsApp, finally, you may be able to fix your typos. No need anymore to put the star and the word properly spelled. They finally invented the edit button, and we are very happy about that.
Now if Twitter would just, I mean, unless Twitter is going to implode, I hope Twitter figures that edit functionality out better than it currently has implemented it as well. And certainly not within the Twitter Blue perspective, because that's just an ungodly amount of money for using a social network.
Right.
Okay, onward to creating a simple wardrobe catalog on your iPhone.
This article was very interesting. It's another way to use, how to create a simple catalog for what you have, for the clothes that you have. So a lot of people struggle with this. And, one of the things that is very interesting is at the time they struggle. That's the morning. That's when most people tend to be dressed up. And not everybody is a morning people. There is people who are night owls. And for those people, this kind of articles, these kind of techniques to inventory things and make the decision even before you wake up, it's really make a significance and make an improvement, and you can then sort them into the formal, going out, casual, workout, whatever it is. In my case, I pick whatever is on the morning the night before, and I have done it, I don't know since when. But the reason is that at the night I still thinking, in the morning I am running. I That's not a decision I want to make. I don't have enough clothes to even a simple wardrobe catalog, apparently. But for the people who have it, this will be a good option.
Yeah, there are like closet organization apps that are out there and wardrobe apps that are specific to this tool, like this tool need. But I personally don't have that need. I don't. I take out the next thing in the closet and I put it on. And so I don't particularly think about this. I've organized my closet in such a way that the algorithm is that, as the next pair of pants and the next shirt are in line, that's the next combination of things that are going to be worn together. And it everything is pretty much interchangeable. It's very rare that I have to like skip a pair of pants because the dress shirt is just really so off in color that it would be weird, or I'd look like it was Christmas because I have a red shirt and a green pair of pants, that kind of thing, which happens a lot because I do wear a lot of red and green. I'm mindful of basic things, but I've organized and purchased items for my closet so that everything is pretty much interchangeable. I have taken to doing something a little bit different, which is I do take a photograph every day of what I am wearing so that I am aware of what I wore. So that if I go back to the same group of people, it could be that I meet with a group once a month and I don't want to wear the same thing every time. But it's very possible because of my little closet algorithm that will happen. So I do take a photograph of myself in the morning, and it's not vanity. It's literally just what am I wearing today, so I can go back if I need to look back at that moment. And I save all of that in Evernote, and so I just have a wardrobe notebook,
Mhm.
and it just catalogs what I've worn. And there are occasions when I think, you know what, I really liked that outfit, and then I will go back and scroll through those items and see which one of those images details something that I appreciated, and I'll usually annotate that. So I'll write it in the note or annotate that in the title of the note, in my wardrobe notebook, and then that way it tells me kind of the like, oh, I wore this to this dinner, or I wore this to this gala. I like that outfit. I might want to wear that again. And so I can go ahead and do that. I don't even tag in the wardrobe, because it's all date organized. So I could just scroll through the dates and see them in a chronological order. So I think it's good for us to kind of keep that in mind, that, the way in which we look doesn't have to be everything, but certainly it's a component of how we present in the world, and we want to make sure that we look good to some extent. And there goes the
There goes the lamp.
the ring light again. But yeah, all right, onward to our next story.
So our last story for this segment is an article from um, uh, BGR. The name escaping me. Boygate Genius review page. Anyways, he's saying Chris Smith is talking about how the new Motorola Razr Plus has dreaming him on a foldable iPhone, and he's sharing, it would be very nice to have an iPhone that goes into this. And it reminded me when I saw the Microsoft Surface foldable phone, because that's what I want. I don't want something that goes to half of the phone. I want something that goes double of the phone. So basically, I can go from having a phone to having an iPad Mini. That's what I want. Now I don't need more smaller. I need more size, but foldable, so I can carry it with me easier.
I'll have to say that I looked at the Razer Plus Ultra, I think is it's called. Not available in the United States currently, that I'm aware of. But it harkens back to, remember when the Motorola Razers were the thing, the de rigueur of the day, and oh my gosh, it just brought back all of those memories. And it's also really nice looking phone. This is a phone that I would buy and I would have as I have two phones, one for work, one for personal. And while I use my personal one a lot for work, I do like having that individual phone that I can kind of shut off and know that it's turned off during that time frame. It also gives me context switching because phone calls don't come through my personal phone for work; they only come through that work one, and so it just helps me have that bifurcation when I need it to. I think the Razer Plus would be really nice. It reminds me of the Samsung Z Fold, right? The Z Fold is that no,
Yep.
the Flip, the
The
Z Flip.
flip, the flip.
Yes, and so it kind of gives me that feeling to it. I'd be worried about not having pure Android on the device. I think that I would probably go with the Z Flip just for that purpose. But it looks like a beautiful phone, and if it came to the United States, I would definitely want to play with it to kind of see what it's all about and to give it some love in that sense. So I'm curious if anybody out there who's not in the states who might have that app. That phone to kind of let us know what that's all about and kind of go
Yeah,
from
that
there.
one, that racer and the StarTAC. StarTAC was my favorite. I upgraded eventually to the racer, but I hold as long as I could. I love that phone.
All right. So with that, we have covered our productivity technology articles for this week, and that means onward to new tools of the week. Each week, Augusto and I scour the web for all of various productivity and technology articles that you, of course, hear us talking about. But in that process, we come across many personal development and time task project management applications and services. So in new tools of the week, we bring you each a tool we think you might like. And so my tool this week is a tool called the Greatness app. And this is an interesting app to me because what it is, it's about building a personalized plan for investing in behaviors that bring you toward your life goals. This is all supposedly backed by behavioral science. And so it's really interesting to me in one particular way. So you can go ahead and go to greatnessapp.com. You fill out this quiz, and then it presents you with a set of things it thinks you might want to do. Now, the fact that the website has, drinking water right as the first primary thing, don't get turned off by that. But it has like physical health, mental health. It has other kinds of goals that you can go ahead and put it in. But the idea here is that it focuses on routine, which is something that I am consistently trying to help people understand that habits are not the goal here. Great routines are surfacing your routines to awareness, and then facilitating habitual behaviors, just basically behavioral interventions within your routine, is how you make those kinds of long lasting changes. And so this is one of the few applications that I've seen doing it in such a way that I think could be really useful. So that's the Greatness app. I recommend you check it out and see if it's something that can work for you. I like the little bit of machine learning that they've built into it to kind of facilitate a personalized plan for you and then help you achieve those goals throughout your weeks and months. Augusto, What's your tool this week?
Well, the tool this week is not a new tool. It's a day one. It's a journal app, and the reason I bring it back, and we talked about this app before. The reason I bring it back is because when Apple announced that they are going to be releasing a journal app for iOS, people was wondering, oh, that was a great idea. Why have not thought about this before? Where can I go? And day one, I've been using it, I don't know, for a very long time. I can tell you that according to this, I have right into this more than 3,271 times. So it's been used. Okay. And but it is a fantastic application, and I don't know, no, I don't know what Apple is going to release or not. But if you don't want to wait until iOS is out, until the app is out, etc., that is a great app to check and maybe use.
Right. So there's an iOS version, there's a Mac version, and there is an Android version
Yes.
of the day one application. Basic is free. That gives you one journal, one device, and one photo per entry. But then you can upgrade to the premium, which is about $3, just shy of $3 per month, or $35 per year. So it's very nominal in terms of cost. And for all of the times I have heard you, Augusto, talk about the value and the kind of the way in which you can customize and flexibly journal within day one, it sounds like a really great app. And so I have used many different apps over time, but I've consistently heard you talk about how wonderful day one is. And so it's a good reminder for everybody that there are solid apps out there like day one that have been around doing their thing, consistently updating and doing the good work that is out there in the world. All right. With that, we're on to our featured story this week. Let's talk about WWDC 2023.
Ooh. Well, let's not start with the elephant. Let's start with the Mac. And, it was very interesting because they announced the MacBook Air 15-inch that I know you were looking to replace the laptop. I thought about you. They put an M2, they did very well. But what was very interesting for me is how targeted that machine was, at least on the marketing and the announcements to the PC user. That was not a machine directed, marketed to Apple users. It was really towards the PC market. That's fine. It was completely fine, but that was very interesting for me.
Yeah, the MacBook Air 15-inch, the M2 just sounds like the perfect Mac for me. An MBA is the type of tool that I can use in lots of different environments. It fits kind of my Chromebook need, right? The only lacking in this new MacBook Air, which we could argue to the cows come home, is the lack of a touchscreen, and it lacking that touchscreen is really a drawback. But it's a device that I will probably get. It's something that I can just slip in a bag and go. And it's a large enough screen that I know that you like a smaller screen size than 15 inches. But I'm sitting talking to you right now on a 15-inch screen, and I have a foldable monitor that travels with me that's another 15.6 inches. So I love having that really nice wide screen, and to just have the idea of taking my MacBook Air, having a 15-inch screen on it, and taking my portable monitor, plugging into the USB-C, and having basically 30 inches wide on in terms of view. That just really appeals to me, just for the way in which I like to work, right? I like to be able to have those things.
Right.
I'd love to have it stacked. I'd love to be able to take that monitor and put it on top of one another, but that won't work so well in a cafe.
That
Uh,
doesn't work well in a cafe. Even that I have seen pictures of people bringing their desktop machine to the cafe. So you can do that, and we can take pictures of you and make fun of you forever.
I have witnessed someone carry an iMac into the cafe, sit it on the desk and work on it. And I thought to myself, why? Why would you take, like I would just be worried about destroying the thing, dropping it, it being knocked down, those kinds of things in a public environment like that. But anyway, all right, from the MacBook Air 15
So
inch.
from the MacBook Air, then they announced the new Mac Studio, and they announced a monster. I understand this is so they can show and they can brag what they can do. And it's the M2 Ultra chips. Basically, it's a two M2 chips put together so you can accomplish, you know, something outstanding, I'm going to assume, because it's I don't unless you do video editing, they announced the MacBook Pro that now you can put it vertical, horizontally. So they really went all in into show that since they decide to do their own silicon, they can really push very, very far from where the market is.
Well, this is the M2 Ultra chip is 3 times faster than the previous Mac Studio. I mean, like, this is a beast. And so if you're processing a high level of video or doing huge amounts of basically LLM processing, large language model processing, if you're doing that kind of heavy duty database, intensive work, this is the kind of chip you want to be able to utilize. Of course, it comes with a hefty price tag, just starting at 4 grand USD. So, if you want that ultra chip, you're going to be starting out the gate at a pretty high price point. If you just want the M2 Max chip, that's roughly about 2,000. But you want to get to the ultra, and it starts at 4,000 USD. But again, this is a very, very powerful tool that's capable of just displaying very rich visuals and being able to process data very, very quickly. So, there are probably not that many people out there who need this, but for those folks who do, this is a great tool for it.
Right. So then let's move to iOS 17, iPad OS 17. They announced, journals, Siri improved. They even said now you will be able to stop docking people and using the appropriate word. Okay. And they announced for the phone the standby mode. So basically, you put on the charger in horizontal and it will show like a clock of the 1980s. And thanks God they're going to allow you to modify that. Uploads on phones and stuff. That's when they announced the journal app. Uh, the one thing that was very exciting for me was the sharing of the AirTags, and the AirTags has been a great example in the industry how much Google and Apple and others have been working together into just creating a product that is very nice, but also sharing together, the security that comes with that technology so it doesn't cause trouble, but really helps. The fact that now I can share those AirTags with people, we have a couple in the house and they are set to my phone. So when we are my wife and I together and the things with us, then she start getting notifications. You have an AirTag following you. Well, yes, we know. It will be very nice to share with her so she don't get those, or for her to take those things and don't get the notification and don't need to text me where is this thing because I can't find it. So I'm very excited about that. Um, then they announced Mac OS, the new one. It was not Rancho Cucamonga, as it's been the joke for the last 2 or 3 years. But of course, they did Sonoma. And the jokes were also came in for Sonoma. So apparently, if you install a certain operating system, you will be able to accomplish on your Mac to have Sonoma and Gomorrah. So that was the joke, and I don't think Apple intended, but we are going to be listening to that for many years to come. They announced WatchOS 10, tvOS, and then they went into the show of the night. That was the Apple Vision Pro. It's not a cheap toy. It's a $3,400 toy. But I was very excited about it. One, because it reminded me that the technology that it has is incredible. Okay. Let's say you put this and now you have an unlimited set of screens. That is incredible. Second, the Apple went to the business market, not the gaming market. And the VR and headsets, they are in the business. They're very cool, but they have not really hit very, very hard. Hitting the business market, that may be very interesting. I have a bunch of screens here in my office. And really, if I need to upgrade all this gear, I will be very close to that number. So it makes sense to me to get rid of everything, sell it, and see. So if you watch anything but idle in the video and not only the audio, if when this product see you see different, that's because now we're using the algorithm for this one, and it may happen. But the other thing that is interesting is seems like Apple found now a recipe that they start with the iPad, follow with the Apple Watch, and now they're bringing the Vision Pro to this. If we remember those products, the first iPad didn't have a lot, was expensive, and it was by the third iPad, third generation, when that thing really was a very interesting, powerful thing. Before that, it was not. So if you look into the Apple Watch, it is the same thing. The first and second version of the Apple Watch were not as powerful. They were testing. That was during that process that they discover, oh, the health part is what it's getting people more interested, and then they push on that direction, making the third generation really now mass adopted or very close to, or at least a mass level device. So they seem to be taking the same approach. They seem to be taking, let's test, let's figure it out, let's go into business, let's give this to business people. I don't travel anymore, or at least my travels are negligible at these days. But I'm thinking when the iPad came out many years back, that was so important for me as a person who was a heavy traveler. This thing is a no-brainer for me if you travel any, because not only that, now you can sit, forget about how much space you have on that sit. You will have all the screens, large screens, privacy. You don't need to worry or put the protector so the neighbor is seeing what you're seeing or not seeing. So I honestly think that there are two important things with this device. One is Apple, it's really going to develop a new line of products. Okay. This, what we have seen from the business perspective. Yeah, I can put them and watch a movie. I can put them, but it's nothing close to really be a tool where I can say, okay, I will replace my iPad with this until now. Now I have a thing that I can think, okay, I can replace multiple iPads. As you said, when I'm here in my office, yeah, the monitors are all stacked. Also, when I'm out and about, that doesn't happen. So if I can take now and say I'm going to the cafe, and instead of bringing, your multiple stack monitors or your desktop, as we said at the beginning, I can take that thing and have now two massive monitors to work sitting on the couch. I'm interested in hear more about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna reserve judgment until I see what they do with this device. I am I'm interested in it as a consumption device. I think this is going to be something that I can sit down and watch, a pretty large sized IMAX type movie, and potentially even doing it in 3D. If you can, if you could put prescription kind of, filters in between, presumably you can also put in a 3D kind
Mhm.
of rendering, where they have the different colors in each of the eyes, so you can see in 3D. I would love to be able to see that kind of large scale entertainment, right? Like think this new Avatar movie, being able to watch Avatar 2, in that kind of IMAX experience, and you put your earbuds in and you just have this immersive experience. I had that already with the Google Daydream VR headset, and I'm really sad that Google deprecated and got rid of that program. Beyond that, what you're talking about, Augusto, in terms of having a productivity tool that you are putting on your face and operating. It's still science fiction to me. I'm not gonna lie. I still don't see this as being practical. For the vast majority of people, this isn't practical. But for you and I can see us both wearing our VR headsets and working very comfortably in that environment on occasion, right? This is not going to be an everyday wear kind of thing, but there's going to be opportunities where this would be really, really helpful to be able to do that kind of work. I can see in hosting our conferences, I can see in a lot of different environments where that might be very, very useful and practical. Uh, but it's a limited set right now. They need to make this device at this price point so that it stays in developers' hands and can be built and so on and so forth. I get that. The Apple Vision Pro is currently, as you said, 3,500 USD, and it's going to not launch until early 2024.
Right.
So developers are not even going to get their hands on this until early 2024, and at which point they're going to start looking at how they can ideate. Right now they're ideating how they're going to be able to utilize this. They're going to probably get the SDKs and start playing around and seeing how this tool can be utilized and what functions, what sensors are in it, how this can really be workable with its limitations. Again, as you said, think about the first Apple Watch, think about the first AirPods. You think about the comparison between them and today, light and day, night and day. So the
Apple is very good at that.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And again, they're not inventing anything. They're taking what exists in terms of a vision for what a product category can be, and they're thinking about what services they can have people use on their platform. And Apple users are very loyal, right? So they're going to be able to get that headset, and they're going to be able to provide an app ecosystem, Apple TV, Apple everything that they do in terms of Apple services within that
Mhm.
environment. I'm you know I'm going to hold, as I said, I'm going to hold reservation, I'm going to keep reservation to all of this. I'm going to hold opinion about it until I see probably the first consumer version, right? This is a developer
Right.
version. I'm going to wait till the consumer version comes out and they've solved the battery power issue. They've solved some of these vision problem issues, because a lot of people who put on VR or even AR glasses will sometimes get nauseated from wearing them. There are all kinds of issues related to putting something that's shielding your entire face, and so we'll see how that makes its way forward. But Apple is one of the richest companies in the world. They have more cash than many, 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 many countries in the world, just sitting on piles and piles of cash. They have the ability to invest in this technology and see it forward. I would like to actually see them make more inroads in artificial intelligence. To be quite honest, I'd like to see them doing more in that space. I know they have, and they've got some of that going on, but they are not like Google or Microsoft or OpenAI and kind of proffering themselves as doing AI. And I'd be interested to see what they're doing thoughtfully in that space, because I think it would be really useful for the industry to see a privacy focused company, at least in all regards. We've seen Apple take a very strong stance in terms of privacy, and so taking this kind of approach with AI would be interesting, and utilizing that in this VR environment, in this kind of Vision Pro product. I think those two combined together, it would be great to like have an assistant inside of your Vision Pro, right? And now, kind of a la Jarvis, you can now have this kind of ongoing fluid, Apple assistant. I'm not saying her name, but the Madam S, so that you're able to go ahead and have this kind of fluid conversation, because right now, Madam S is not the brightest bulb. It's okay. It does the job most of the time, but it could be better. I definitely use Amazon and Google to greater effect as voice assistants, and it would be great to have that facilitated in a much more thoughtful perspective with the visuals associated with it, right? And you
Right.
have the audio and visual. So I feel like that's the thing that is the combination of all those pieces, and it needs to fluidly work across all of your Apple devices. That's where I think the key is because the Vision Pro is not going to be appropriate for everyday wear. And so once I take them off, I need to be able to have that same level of artificial intelligence and seamless experience transfer to my iPad screen, transfer to my iPhone screen, transfer to my Watch OS, my TV OS screen, and so on and so forth, very, very thoughtfully.
Yeah, and I think that's something where Apple has a very decent shot at, because they control so much of the experience, that it is something that Google or Microsoft will have a much harder time developing. Not for any than the options on hardware and software vary so much that is an extra challenge to an already difficult one.
Absolutely. All right. We've got an announcement and then we're going to
Yeah.
close out.
So we have one announcement, and Learn OmniFocus with Tim Stringer turns 9 years a couple of weeks ago. So congratulations, Tim. And if you're an OmniFocus user, this is an incredible place to find about OmniFocus and the interviews and everything else.
Fantastic. Congratulations again to Tim Stringer for Learn OmniFocus turning 9 years old. And with that, Augusto, we've covered the productivity and related technology news yet for another week. Thanks again, Augusto, for all your help and work. Okay,
A
everybody.
pleasure.
Fantastic. Okay, on anythingbutidle.com, you can find our show notes. Those contain the links to all the stories, tools of the week, extra stories that we don't cover in the episode, and as well, we include a text transcript, both that you can read on the screen there. Just click that little more button, or you can go ahead and download it off as a PDF and read it side by side as you're listening to the episode. If for some reason you're missing something from the show notes, we missed a story, it can happen. Go ahead and feel free to join us inside a Personal Productivity Club. If you go to anythingbutidle.com/community, you'll be taken to a sign up page that is for Personal Productivity Club. It's free to join. Go ahead and join it, and it'll direct you into the Anything But Idle group. And there you can go ahead and interact with us. You can comment on our various episodes. You can post stories that you think might be interesting for us to cover in a future episode. All of that fun stuff. Feel free, if you're listening to this for the first time, feel free to subscribe. Sometimes it's called subscribe or follow inside of your podcast app of choice. But go ahead and subscribe, and then you'll be notified when we get our episodes released each week. And with that, we will see you all next time on Anything But Idle. Here's to your productive life.